The lecture hall smelled like recycled air and broken dreams. Professor Ventrick droned on about stellar cartography, while 200 students pretended to care. Maya sat in the back row, her fingers drumming against a synthetic desk surface, counting down the minutes until freedom. She hated this place. Zenith Academy, they called it, the most prestigious intergalactic university in the 7 sectors. A shining beacon of knowledge where the galaxy's elite sent their spawn to learn about things that didn't matter. Maya had been here for 3 months, and every single day felt like swallowing glass. Earth, that's where she came from. The planet nobody talked about, unless they wanted to tell scary stories. The Deathworld, the place where gravity crushed bones, where the atmosphere could kill you in 100 different ways, where the wildlife treated you like a convenient snack. Humans weren't supposed to leave their planet. They were too fragile, too violent, too unpredictable. But Maya's sponsor had money, connections, and a curiosity about what would happen if you threw a human girl into a school full of aliens who thought they were superior. The answer? Nothing good. Miss Reeves, Professor Ventrick's voice cut through her thoughts like a blade. Perhaps you'd like to share your thoughts on the Andromeda Drift with the class? Maya looked up. The professor was a Keltorian, all spindly limbs and translucent skin that showed his internal organs pulsing with bioluminescent fluid. His 3 eyes focused on her with obvious disdain. "I think," Maya said slowly, her voice carrying across the silent hall, "that anyone who needs a 3-hour lecture to understand basic spatial coordinates probably shouldn't be navigating a starship." Gasps. Whispers. Someone in the front row made a choking sound. Professor Ventrick's skin flashed red. "Detention. After class. My office." Maya smiled, looking forward to it. She wasn't. The rest of the lecture crawled by like a wounded animal. When the dismissal chime finally rang, Maya gathered her things while her classmates filed out, shooting her looks that ranged from pity to contempt. She'd gotten used to both. "Deathworld or trash," someone muttered as they passed. Maya's jaw tightened, but she kept walking. 3 months of this. 3 months of insults, casual cruelty, and the constant reminder that she didn't belong. The other students treated her like a bomb that might explode at any moment. They weren't entirely wrong. She headed down the corridor toward Ventrick's office, her boots clicking against the polished floor. The academy looked like someone had vomited luxury into space. Everything gleamed. Everything sparkled. Everything cost more money than most planets generated in a year. Maya hated every pristine inch of it. Ventrick's office was empty when she arrived. The door stood open, lights on, but no professor. Maya frowned, stepping inside. "Hello." Nothing. She was about to leave when she heard footsteps behind her. Multiple sets. Heavy. Deliberate. Maya turned. 3 figures blocked the doorway. Students, but not the usual kind. These were older, bigger, and wearing the kind of smirks that made her stomach twist. The one in front was a Thraxian, scaled and muscular, with tusks jutting from his lower jaw. The other 2 were Keltorian twins. Though unlike their professor, these ones had obviously spent time in a gym. Well, the Thraxian said, his voice like gravel in a blender. The little Deathworlder actually showed up. Maya's eyes narrowed. "Ventrick put you up to this?" "Ventrick is currently enjoying a long lunch off campus," the Thraxian said, stepping forward. "We made sure of it. Hacked the schedule. Sent you the fake detention notice. And now, we've got the whole afternoon to teach you a lesson about respect." The twins moved in from the sides, cutting off any escape route. Maya backed up until she hit the professor's desk. "Let me guess," she said, keeping her voice steady despite the adrenaline starting to flood her system. "You're upset because I scored higher than you on the quantum mechanics exam?" "We're upset," the Thraxian growled, "because you exist. Humans don't belong here. You're violent, primitive, disgusting creatures who should have stayed in your hole of the planet. But since you're here, we're going to make sure you remember your place." He lunged. Maya moved on instinct, diving to the side as the Thraxian's fist crashed into the desk, splintering the expensive wood. The twins came at her from both flanks. But Maya was already rolling, her hand closing around a decorative crystalline paperweight from Ventrick's shelf. She came up swinging. The The paperweight caught the first twin across the temple with a satisfying crack. He went down hard, bioluminescent blood spraying across the white walls. The second twin hesitated, shocked, and Maya didn't give him time to recover. She kicked him in the knee, heard something pop, then brought the paperweight down on the back of his skull as he collapsed. 2 down, 1 to go. The Thraxian stared at his fallen companions, then at Maya. His expression shifted from confident to uncertain to absolutely furious in the space of a heartbeat. "You little savage," he snarled, reaching for something at his belt. A weapon, a blade that gleamed with a sickly green edge. Poison, probably, or acid. Nothing good. Maya backed up, her mind racing. The Thraxian was bigger, stronger, and armed. But he was also slow, used to rely on intimidation instead of actual fighting. Earth had taught her a lot about surviving, mostly by throwing her into situations where survival wasn't guaranteed. The Thraxian charged, blade raised. Maya grabbed the desk chair and swung it like a club. The chair connected with the blade, knocking it wide, and Maya followed through with a kick to the Thraxian's midsection. He grunted, stumbled, and Maya pressed her advantage. She drove her elbow into his throat, heard him choke, then swept his legs out from under him. He crashed to the floor. Hard. Maya didn't stop. She couldn't afford to. She grabbed the blade he dropped and held it to his throat, her hand shaking but steady enough. "Listen very carefully," she said, her voice cold. "You picked the wrong target. I'm from Earth. We don't have academies where everything is safe and sterile. We have jungles where the plants eat you. We have oceans where things with too many teeth hunt in packs. We have weather that can kill you just by existing. You think you're scary? You're a joke." The Thraxian's eyes were wide, his breath coming in short gasps. "You're insane." "Maybe," Maya said, "but I'm alive. And if you or your friends ever come near me again, you won't be." She stood, tossing the blade aside, and looked at the carnage around her. 2 unconscious Keltorians, 1 terrified Thraxian, and her, standing in the middle of it all, covered in alien blood and adrenaline. Perfect. The door chimed. Someone was coming. Maya's blood ran cold. If security found her here, it was over. She'd be expelled, deported, probably locked in a cell for assault. Didn't matter that it was self-defense. She was the Deathworlder. She was a violent one. She was a monster they all expected her to be. She had maybe 60 seconds. Maya's mind shifted into overdrive. Years of survival training kicked in, the kind of training Earth gave you whether you wanted it or not. She looked around the office, cataloging everything. The blood on the walls, the broken desk, the unconscious bodies, the security camera blinking in the corner. Right, the camera. Maya sprinted to Ventric's computer terminal, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. She'd spent the last 3 months learning every system in this academy, not because she cared about grades, but because knowledge was survival. She pulled up the security feeds, found the last hour footage, and deleted it. Then she deleted the deletion logs. Then she created a false timestamp showing nothing had happened in this room all afternoon. 30 seconds. She grabbed cleaning solution from the storage closet, the kind they use to sanitize lab equipment. Industrial strength. She sprayed across the walls, watching the blood dissolve like it had never existed. The twins were still breathing, but barely. Maya checked their pulses. Steady. They'd live. Probably wish they hadn't when they woke up, but they'd live. The Thraxian was trying to crawl toward the door. Maya grabbed him by the collar and dragged him behind the desk. "Stay down and stay quiet, or I'll finish what I started." He stayed down. 10 seconds. Maya smoothed her hair, straightened her jacket, and walked to the door just as it slid open. A cleaning drone hovered in the entrance, its sensors sweeping the room. It paused, scanning, then moved inside to begin its routine maintenance. Maya slipped past it into the corridor. Her heart hammered in her chest, but her face was calm. Just another student. Nothing to see here. She made it 3 steps before she heard shouting behind her. Professor Ventric's voice, shrill and panicked. What happened? Who did this? Maya kept walking, her pace steady, unhurried. Behind her, more voices joined in. security, medical, the chaos spreading like wildfire. She turned a corner and allowed herself a small, cold smile. They'd find the bodies. They'd review the security footage and find nothing. They'd question everyone, but there'd be no evidence, no witnesses, no proof. Just 3 students who'd somehow ended up injured in a locked office with no explanation. And Maya? She'd be in her dorm, studying like nothing had happened, because that's what humans did. They adapted. They survived. They erased their tracks and moved forward. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Maya attended her remaining classes, ate dinner in the cafeteria, and returned to her dorm like everything was normal. Her roommate, a nervous plexion girl named Sera, barely looked up from her datapad when Maya entered. "Hey! Hey!" Maya replied, dropping her bag on her bed. "You hear about the thing in Ventrick's office?" Maya's blood went cold, but she kept her expression neutral. "What thing?" 3 students got hurt. Nobody knows what happened. Security is going crazy. Sera finally looked up, her large eyes curious. "Weird, right?" "Super weird," Maya agreed, pulling out her own datapad. "Probably just some prank gone wrong." "Yeah, probably." Maya waited until Sera went asleep before she allowed herself to relax. She lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying the fight over and over. She'd won. She'd survived. But something had shifted inside her. A line had been crossed. Before, she'd been trying to fit in, trying to prove she belonged. Now she knew the truth. She'd never belong. And maybe that was okay, because belonging meant being like them. Soft, weak, predictable. Maya was none of those things. She was human. She was from Earth. And Earth didn't raise survivors by being gentle. Her datapad buzzed. A message from an unknown sender. "I know what you did. Meet me tomorrow. Midnight. Observatory deck. Come alone." Maya stared at the words, her jaw tightening. So much for erasing the proof. Maya didn't sleep that night. She lay in her bunk, eyes open, watching the artificial star projected on the ceiling, while her mind calculated angles and outcomes. Someone knew. Someone had seen. And now they wanted a midnight meeting in the most isolated part of the academy. This was either a trap or an opportunity. Possibly both. When morning came, she went through her classes like a ghost. The academy buzzed with rumors about the incident. 3 students hospitalized. Memory gaps. No witnesses. Security had questioned half the student body, but nobody had answers. Maya kept her head down, her expression carefully neutral, while conversation swirled around her like toxic gas. "I heard it was a rival gang from the lower districts." "No way." "Someone said it was a malfunctioning defense drone. My friend in security told me the footage was corrupted, like someone wiped it clean." Maya's stomach twisted at that last one, but she kept walking. Sera caught up with her between classes, practically vibrating with nervous energy. "Did you hear the latest? They're saying the Thraxian, Cade, he's claiming he can't remember anything. Not a single detail. Just woke up in medical with a concussion, and his friend's in worse shape." Sera's voice dropped to a whisper. "Some people are saying it's impossible. That someone would have to be incredibly skilled to take down 3 attackers and leave no trace." "Sounds like conspiracy theory garbage," Maya said flatly. "Probably just hazing gone wrong, and they're too embarrassed to admit it." "Maybe." Sera didn't sound convinced. But Maya, people are scared. Like, really scared. Because if someone can do that and just vanish, what's stopping them from doing it again? Good question, Maya thought. What was stopping her? The day dragged on with agonizing slowness. Maya forced herself to eat lunch, to attend her afternoon seminars, to act like everything was completely normal. But her mind kept returning to that message. Midnight, observatory deck. Come alone. She had 2 choices. Ignore it and hope whoever sent the message stayed quiet. Or show up and deal with whatever came next. The first option was safer. The second option was smarter, because secrets had a way of multiplying in the dark, and Maya preferred to face her problems head-on. At 11:45 that night, she slipped out of her dorm, The academy's corridors were empty, most students either asleep or engaged in the kind of activities that require closed doors and plausible deniability. Maya moved through the shadows like she'd been born to them, taking maintenance corridors and service elevators that the privileged students didn't even know existed. The observatory deck sat at the top of the academy's main spire, a massive transparent dome that offered 360-degree views of the surrounding nebula. During the day, it was a popular spot for romantic rendezvous and philosophical conversations. At night, it was deserted, the perfect place for a secret meeting. Or a murder. Maya arrived at 5 minutes to midnight. The deck was dark except for the ambient light from the nebula outside, casting everything in shades of purple and blue. She scanned the area, her muscles tense, ready to fight or run depending on what happened next. You actually came. The voice came from behind one of the observation terminals. A figure stepped out of the shadows. Female, humanoid, but definitely not human. Maya recognized her immediately. Sera Blackwood, half Valerian, half something else nobody could quite identify. She was in Maya's advanced combat theory class, always sitting in the back, always watching everyone with those unsettling silver eyes. Rumors followed her like a bad smell. Mercenary family, black market connections. The kind of student who attended Zenith Academy, not to learn, but to network. You sent the message, Maya said. Not a question. I did. Sera moved closer, her movements predatory and precise. She was tall, lean, with dark hair that seemed to absorb light. Interesting situation you found yourself in yesterday. I don't know what you're talking about. Please. Sera's smile was sharp enough to cut. I was there, not in the office, but close enough. I saw you go in. Saw those 3 idiots follow you. Heard the sound of a very one-sided fight. Then I watched you walk out like nothing had happened while they got carted off to medical. Maya's hand drifted toward the small blade she'd taken a carrying in her boot, just in case. If you were there, why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you report it? Stop them? Why would I do that? I want to see what you do. Sera leaned against the terminal, completely relaxed despite the danger radiating off Maya like heat. And report it? To who? Security? The same security that's been turning a blind eye to harassment against you for months? The same administration that admitted a human girl just to see what would happen? No thanks. I have better uses for my time. Then what do you want? I want to make you an offer. Sera pulled out a small hollow projector and activated it. Images sprang to life between them. Faces, names, locations. You're not the only one who's been targeted. There are 15 other scholarship students at this academy. Non-traditional backgrounds, wrong species, wrong social class. And every single one of them has been systematically bullied, sabotaged, or threatened into silence. 3 have already dropped out. 2 more are considering it. Maya studied the images, her jaw tightening. She recognized some of the faces. A Quillen girl from her physics class who always sat alone. A Dracian boy who'd been accused of cheating despite perfect grades. A Centauri exchange student who'd been hospitalized after a suspicious fall. You're collecting data, Maya said slowly. I'm collecting ammunition, Sera corrected. Because here's what I know. The academy has a problem. The elite students, the ones whose families donate buildings and fund research grants, they've formed a little club. They call themselves the Vanguard. Very prestigious, very secret, very dedicated to keeping Zenith Academy pure. Pure meaning no outsiders. Exactly. Sera killed the projection. They're the ones organizing the harassment, coordinating the attacks, making sure nobody who doesn't fit their perfect vision succeeds here. And the administration? They know. They just don't care because those families have money and influence and power. Maya felt something cold settle in her chest. You're saying yesterday was a random. Yesterday was a test. They wanted to see how far they could push you. What you do, whether you break or fight back. Sera's smile turned predatory. You exceeded expectations. Cade and his friends were supposed to scare you into leaving. Instead, you put them in medical and erased all evidence of your involvement. Very impressive. Very human. Get to the point. The point is that you're a weapon they didn't expect. You're dangerous in ways they can't predict or control. And I want to use that. Sera stepped closer, her silver eyes gleaming. I want to destroy the Vanguard. Not just expose them. Not just get them expelled. I want to dismantle their entire operation and make sure they can never hurt anyone again. But I can't do it alone. I need someone who can fight. Someone who can move in shadows. Someone who doesn't care about playing by rules that were designed to keep her down. Maya stared at her. You're asking me to wage a war. I'm asking you to finish what you started. Because here's the truth. They're not going to stop. Cade won't remember what happened, but the Vanguard will put the pieces together. They'll realize you're more dangerous than they thought. And then they'll come after you with everything they have. Sera's expression hardened. You can run. Transfer to another academy. Go back to Earth. Or you can stand and fight. Make them regret ever thinking humans were weak. The silence stretched between them. Outside the dome, the nebula swirled in endless patterns of light and darkness. Maya thought about the last 3 months. The insults, the isolation, the constant pressure to prove she belonged. And then she thought about yesterday. The satisfaction of watching her attackers fall. The cold efficiency of erasing the evidence. The realization that she didn't need to belong. She just needed to survive. What's your angle? Maya asked, why do you care about the scholarship students? Sera's smile faded. Because I was one. 5 years ago. Different academy. Same problem. I survived. Barely. And I swore that if I ever had the chance to stop it from happening to someone else, I would. Why me? Why not someone else? Because everyone else is scared. You're angry. And anger is a much better motivator than fear. Sera extended her hand. So, what do you say, Deathworlder? Ready to hunt some hunters? Maya looked at the offered hand. This was insane. Dangerous. Probably going to get her expelled, or killed, or both. But the alternative was spending the rest of her time at Zenith Academy looking over her shoulder, waiting for the next attack, living in fear of people who thought they were better than her. She'd had enough of that. Maya took Sera's hand. Tell me the plan. Sera's grin was absolutely feral. First, we gather intelligence. The Vanguard keeps records. Meeting logs. Target lists. Evidence of their activities. It's all stored in a secure server in the administration building. We need to access it without triggering any alarms. That's impossible. The security on that building is military grade. For normal people, yes, but you're not normal, are you? You're human. You can survive things that would kill anyone else. And I happen to know the security system has a vulnerability. Sera pulled up another holo display. Schematics of the administration building. There's a maintenance shaft that runs through the foundation. It's unmonitored because it's too small for most species to navigate. But a human, someone small and flexible, they could make it through. Maya studied the schematics. The shaft was tight, claustrophobic, filled with environmental hazards. Perfect when, tomorrow night, the Vanguard is having one of their meetings. All the major players will be occupied. It's our best window. And once we have the evidence, we leak it, not to the administration. They'll bury it, but to the galactic media. Make it public. Make it loud. Make it impossible to ignore. Sera's expression turned dark, and then we watched them burn. They spent the next hour going over details. Entry points. Timing. Contingencies. Sera had clearly been planning this for a while, and Maya found herself grudgingly impressed. This wasn't some impulsive revenge fantasy. This was a surgical strike designed to cause maximum damage with minimum risk. By the time they finished, the nebula outside had shifted colors, moving from purple to deep red. Maya stood to leave, but Sera caught her arm. One more thing. If this goes wrong, if we get caught, I'll take the blame. All of it. You're too valuable to waste on a failed operation. Maya pulled her arm free. I don't need you to protect me. I know, but someone should. Sera's expression softened for just a moment. The galaxy treats Deathworlders like weapons or monsters, never like people. I figured you could use an ally who sees you differently. Maya didn't know what to say to that, so she just nodded and left. The next day passed in a haze of anticipation. Maya went through her classes on autopilot, her mind focused on the night ahead. She noticed things she'd missed before, the way certain students watched her with calculating eyes, the whispered conversations that stopped when she approached, the sensation of being hunted even in broad daylight. The vanguard knew, maybe not everything, but enough. When night fell, Maya met Sera at a maintenance entrance on the academy's lower level. Sera handed her a skin-tight infiltration suit, the kind that regulated body temperature and dampened sound. "Ready?" Sera asked. Maya pulled on the suit. "Let's end this." They moved through the maintenance tunnels like ghosts. Sera had mapped every camera, every sensor, every potential obstacle. They avoided detection by seconds sometimes, slipping past security patrols and automated defenses with practiced precision. The maintenance shaft was exactly as terrible as Maya had imagined. Narrow, dark, filled with pipes that hissed and groaned. She squeezed through spaces that would have been impossible for anyone larger, her breath coming in short gasps as the walls pressed in from all sides. But she made it. The server room was cold and sterile. Maya accessed a terminal, her fingers flying across the interface while Sera kept watch. Files upon files of evidence. Names, dates, attacks, everything the Vanguard had done laid out in meticulous detail. Maya copied it all. They were almost out when the alarms triggered. Red lights, sirens, the sound of boots running toward their position. "Go!" Sera shoved Maya toward the exit. "I'll hold them off." "Like hell." Maya grabbed Sera's arm and pulled her into the maintenance shaft. They crawled through the darkness while shouts echoed behind them. Security was coming. Fast. They burst out of the tunnels into the lower quad. Students were everywhere, drawn by the alarms. Maya and Sera split up, blending into the crowd, just two more confused students wondering what was happening. Back in her dorm, Maya uploaded the files to a dozen anonymous servers. By morning, every major news outlet in the 7 sectors would have the story. The Vanguard, the harassment, the conspiracy of silence. By morning, everything would change. Maya lay in her bunk, exhausted but satisfied. Outside, the first rays of artificial dawn painted the walls. Her datapad buzzed. A message from Sera. "Well done, Deathworlder. Now the real fight begins." Maya smiled cold and sharp. Let them come. She was ready. Retry